Hello, Jaroslav. Thank you for being with us today here at Ukrinform. Thank you for coming to Ukraine.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's my pleasure to be here, and it's great to be in Kyiv again.
Well, so much to discuss, obviously, amid the ongoing war and the efforts that Slovakia has put into helping Ukraine during your term in office. So, Slovakia, in fact, became the first NATO ally to transfer combat aircraft to Ukraine. You took an important step in supporting our struggle for sovereignty and territorial integrity, and it sort of sent a symbolic signal to other allies to sort of follow suit, and you demonstrated readiness to help. Do you share this opinion that your move provided the initial drive for similar initiatives from other allies?
Yes, but as a matter of fact, we have discussed that with several allies during the process. There were some countries like Poland, who actually we agreed with because we had MiG-29s and they had MiG-29s. So we actually decided to do it, let's say, as a group. And then there were countries that had spare parts for MiG-29s or for other planes or planes that were not capable of flying. So yes, there were several countries that actually, in the first step, provided former Soviet-style equipment, including supersonic jets. And Slovakia was actually really the first one to do so. And it was a good decision. I'm proud of that decision. And I'm proud of a very good cooperation that we had with Ukraine, others, including the United States, in actually arranging the setup for this. But in last days, actually, when we were ready to deliver, I had a phone call from other minister. I don't want to name from NATO, and as minister, she told me that actually they decided to provide F-16s as a second step. So I think that the first step with MiG-29s was an important step to actually open the door for others, and it helped.
Going back to those days, do you remember any challenges, particular challenges in making that decision? What maybe considerations you had in that regard?
Yes, well, it was a significant step. None of the countries provided capable to fly supersonic jets to Ukraine. We had 11 of them, and four of them were capable of flying, and 7 of them were capable of flying after some improvements. There were discussions whether we should, let's say, fly them to Ukraine or we should use the ground transportation. It was not only a question of technical status, but also political. Would it be okay if we fly over Ukrainian territory with Slovak, understand NATO supersonic jets? So we made arrangements, political arrangements, diplomatic arrangements. It took a while, and we also invited Ukrainian pilots to come to Slovakia and technicians to come to Slovakia to look at those MiG-29s, to improve them, to make some repairs, because actually those four of them were flying to Ukraine, all others went by ground. Those 4 were actually with Ukrainian pilots. So after signature of international contract or agreement, that we have donated those MiGs to Ukrainian armed forces, then Ukrainian pilots were flying them to Ukraine. So yes, there were some discussions, diplomatic, it took a while, but at the end of the day, we delivered, and that's the most important part of it.
Well, now the big story of the recent days, the investigation launched against you, against your office, for actually making that decision, that particular decision to transfer these capabilities to Ukraine, the planes. Allegedly, you are being accused of treason, yes, of going against the interests of your own country. And this is being done by the new government led by Mr. Fico. So what is your stance on that? Do you see this as a politically motivated move? What is behind it?
Well, Robert Fico and his party, they won the election in Slovakia back in 2023 by lying to people on situation in Ukraine, by having pro-Russian positions. And allegedly Russia helped them significantly with their social media involvement, let me put it this way, and political activities to win this election. And Robert Fico actually is now paying back what he got from Russia, and he is completely pro-Russian politician, and also the whole government that he actually leads. And yes, before the election, they were using anti-Ukrainian rhetoric and anti-government rhetoric, including attacks on myself, that I'm the traitor to our country, that I am actually, my decisions were leading to sabotage to our armed forces, because we have agreed with Ukraine and others to provide S-300 system, air defense systems to Ukraine, and MiG-29s and other equipment and ammunition. And he won the election, and now he wants to, not he wants, but actually people who elected him, his electorate, they want to see that I am actually put in jail because he promised that before the election. They started several investigations to me and also to other members of the former government. They actually, even yesterday, which is today's Friday, so on Thursday, they announced publicly that there is a special investigation team established in Slovakia, actually to investigate activities vis-a-vis me on helping Ukraine and with military donations. Yes, they asked for 25 years in prison for me for treason and for sabotage, which is crazy, which is not normal, and it's completely political process. We used to have political processes in former Czechoslovakia in 1950s, where communists were actually using police and justice in order to get rid of political opponents. It has never happened since the fall of communism, but now we have it in our country. And Robert Fico, being the Prime Minister of Slovakia, of NATO and EU member country, should now look to the mirror, and that mirror should be provided by other NATO and EU countries and other countries of the democratic world. That what he is doing now is well above of everything that is possible to be considered as a political behavior. This is really a behavior of somebody who is complete slave to Moscow and Kremlin. And this should change really very soon.
Would it be the right thing to say that the society in Slovakia is now divided on the issue of the EU, NATO, support to Ukraine, and obviously, as you said, the electorate wants the government to deliver on the promises they made when they were running their campaign. Obviously, disinformation that's flowing from Russia, from pro-Russian actors, contributed a lot to that, as it does in any other country. So what do you think would be the most efficient way nowadays to effectively fight that disinformation, to try to talk to people the right way, not to make them fall for those false narratives?
Yeah, the problem is that the government itself is communicating disinformation, that is lying, that is communicating pro-Russian statements when Putin last Sunday, as a result of probable okay from Washington on usage of ATACMS rockets with longer distance, announced that this should lead or might lead to a third world war, and this is something that is against the interest of peace. This rhetoric of Putin very often. When that happened on Sunday, the same speech had Fico on Monday. If you wouldn't see the face of somebody who's speaking, you would believe that it's Putin who says that, not Fico. So the government itself is communicating disinformation, and even the members of government, Minister of Defense, Minister of Interior, they are actually attending dialogue, discussions in disinformation media, not in normal media. So the normal media in Slovakia, democratic media, they don't have presence of, or often presence of members of government, because they are actually going to disinformation media linked to Russia to discuss with no opponent issues of their interest, including many times blaming on me, lying on me, on our assistance to Ukraine, on our foreign and defense policy during the previous government. And with this, they try to hide or cover the problems that they have in government in Slovakia now, because the government of Robert Fico is actually losing its power day after day. They have only one member of parliament majority now, only one. So they'd like to cover that. They'd like to cover that they don't have a good situation in economics, and people feel it. So they use Russian distribution network of communication. So if you are looking for the cure for that, then the cure would be to close down pro-Russian network of disinformation media in Slovakia. This is difficult because we're now talking about freedom of speech. But if somebody is not acting in line with the law on media in Slovakia, then we should do bold steps, including closing down those media Russians are supporting very much.
All right, going back to international politics. We know Slovakia stands on the peace formula and the victory plan. By the way, the first Global Peace Summit in Switzerland, Foreign Minister Jaroslav Nad emphasized the importance of Russia's participation in the process. How do you see that? I mean, do you agree with the notion that Russia should be part of it, or in your opinion, it should stay out of it for as long as it pursues its aggressive behavior?
On whatever peace solution that comes, Russia should be involved, because Russia should pay for everything they did. So obviously, we see, the whole world, democratic world, sees who is the aggressor and who's the victim. If you look at the General Assembly of UN, you can see how many countries are supporting Ukraine and how many countries, like 5 or 6, are supporting Russia. 5 or 6 including Russia, and I think it's 190 on the Ukrainian side. So countries and the world knows who's the victim, and we should all help victim of aggression. If Mr. Blanard, the foreign minister in Slovakia, is asking Russia to be involved, yes, because they have to pay for it. Like Germany had to pay, like Hitler, and his Reich, they had to pay for what they did. The same thing is doing now Putin, and they have to pay for it. It doesn't mean that we will take into interest or into consideration what Russia is saying they would like to have as a result of peace negotiation. Because this would mean that we actually support the aggressor. If aggressor gets something out of his aggression, it's a kind of bonus he gains. No aggressor should get whatever bonus on his aggression. So yes, the world community should unite and provide a strong strength in order to show to Putin that there's no way for him to get whatever positive from his aggression and from his killing of innocent people in Ukraine.
As a short follow-up, what is your stance on the alternative so-called China-Brazil initiative?
So-called China-Brazil initiative isn't anything else than a list of things that are okay, plus bonus for Putin to get the territory he actually illegally took from Ukraine. And this is for me and for everybody who is actually I would say supporting international law and order and supporting victim based on the UN Charter. This is impossible. And I'm so sorry to say that the new government in Slovakia, they have been in power for 1 year already, but this government is actually now calling for this Brazil-China plan to be the basis for discussion. No, it shouldn't be any basis. The only basis should be justice for Ukraine in this process.
Given that the war is now getting on a new level, it's escalating and it's expanding in many domains, what main challenges do you see for the Central and Eastern Europe coming out of this war as it is right now at this stage? And what role can Slovakia play in contributing to ensuring stability in that region?
If we want to have stability in the region of Central and Eastern Europe, we should have countries of Western Balkans and Ukraine as a member of NATO and EU. And now I'm talking about Slovak national interests. As a former defense minister in Slovakia, as a politician in Slovakia, I can tell you that in Slovak national interest is to have all our neighbors in EU and NATO. And Ukraine is now the only country of our neighbors that is not in EU or NATO or in both. So as soon as Ukraine gets to NATO and EU, the better security and defense situation of Slovakia will be. So it is in our national interest to get Ukraine to NATO and EU as soon as possible. I can tell you one thing. If the Western world, if NATO and EU countries would agree with accession of Ukraine to NATO in 2008-9, when discussion was quite active, there would never happen what happened actually in 2014 and then 22. Putin would never dare to do that. So NATO accession and EU accession means peace for everybody in that club. NATO has in its history not a single situation when somebody out of NATO would attack a NATO member. And this is actually the best way how to explain to people in Ukraine how important it is to become a NATO member. Nobody dares to attack you if you are a member of club that is the most strong and very good alliance, defense alliance of the world's history.
Well, obviously, Robert Fico now stands against Ukraine's prospects for joining NATO. And perhaps it's also part of his domestic political agenda, or as you say, him paying back to the assistance that Russia might have provided to him to win the elections. At the same time, he doesn't oppose Ukraine's EU aspirations. And we know that the Slovak government has expressed readiness to help Ukraine on its path to the EU, particularly in the fields of energy security and infrastructure projects. Possible initiatives I see include joint energy projects, modernization of transport infrastructure, and exchange of knowledge in the fields of energy and project management. In your opinion, which initiatives could become the most effective for deepening bilateral cooperation between our two countries?
I'll give you an example of Eastern Austria before Slovakia joined EU. Eastern Austria, close to towns like Hamburg, was the least developed, or one of the least developed parts of Austria, because it was actually at the end of the road, and there was Slovakia, no EU, no NATO member, no economic ties. So the development in this part of Austria was very low. Immediately, when Slovakia joined the EU, cooperation between Eastern Austria and Western Slovakia started to rise. There was economic growth, infrastructural projects, cooperation, even cultural cooperation. And now this region of Eastern Austria is one of the most developed in Austria, maybe after Vienna. So this is actually what we see as a potential for Eastern Slovakia. If EU is enlarged for Ukraine, then the cooperation between a region of Sobrance in Slovakia, or Michalovce on the border with Ukraine, with the region of Užhorod, Lviv, Mukachevo, that would the potential would rise immediately, and the cooperation would be significant, and economic results will be very, very visible immediately. Therefore, whatever project we find, including energy, including transportation, including use of Uzhhorod airport, by the way, which is 100 meters, really 100 meters from our border. Why shouldn't we use it for instance Slovakia? Why? It's complicated now because you have to wait for several hours on the border. But if the border is open, the potential for growth for the whole region, including and mostly for Eastern Slovakia, is huge. Therefore, yes, we should support whatever project that are mutually interesting. Yes, in some way we can help you, and in some way you can help us. That's the cooperation. This is how it works. So I support all projects that are working, but what I see is that the potential of projects that Fico actually agreed with Denis Shmyhal is low. It's not enough. I mean, the projects are good, but not enough. There are many, many other areas where we should cooperate, and your EU and NATO membership would lead to significant cooperation in many, many areas.
Any economic growth in a developing economy, especially the one affected by war, has to have grounds to it. So now we have a huge problem of mine contamination. Mm-hmm. I know that after you completed your service as Minister of Defense, you took the helm of supervisory board at the Ukrainian Demining Systems, the organization that deals with demining in Ukraine. What do you see as the main challenges standing in front of those organizations in our country, given the level of such contamination, and what initiatives, what technological innovations could help speed up the process of clearing our land of those mines and UXOs?
Yes, well, I feel very close to Ukraine. I like Ukraine. I have many friends here. And when I was asked to support projects for humanitarian demining in this country, I agreed immediately. When I was able to help as defense minister, I did so. And when I was able, and if I'm able to help now as a former defense minister with some connections, with possibilities to help in a way, then I will do my best in order to support that. Approximately 150,000 square kilometers of territory in Ukraine is potentially of high risk of mines and other ammunition parts that might be in that area. 150,000 square kilometers is actually equal to size of Czechoslovakia. So in reality, it will even after the war ends, and I believe it will be soon. I hope it will be soon. It will take dozens of years to make areas of this pollution safe, and it will need a huge amount of money. We're talking about tens of billions of euros. We're talking about, I hope, a joint program of the world to help Ukraine, because this is not only a question of safe environment for people in Ukraine, but this is also about food security in the world. The grain from Ukraine before war was actually feeding almost 500 million of people across the world. 500 million is actually equal to size of population of EU. So if I simplify, then I say that you actually fed people in EU, the whole population, with the grain. And now it's problematic, obviously. So yes, there is a huge amount of work. If I can personally somehow be involved, I'm happy to do so. I will do my best. But I strongly believe that the world should unite on helping Ukraine, because no other country in the world has such a big problems with demining and polluted areas of former fields, right? Like Ukraine has now. So experience from Slovakia, because we have very good deminers and the systems. Also, UDS companies using Božena demining systems from Slovakia. But there are also countries like Croatia with their experience from war they had in 90s. And other countries. If we all put hands together and do together good things, then I believe the result for people in Ukraine will be visible, and it will be very visible very soon.
Do you have any projects that are supposed to rally international support for demining efforts as
Absolutely.
a UDS?
Absolutely, yes. The UN is involved, and other humanitarian agencies are involved, because everybody see how big this problem is. Even a day before, there was accident, a tragedy here with mines that exploded and killed innocent people here in Ukraine, somewhere on the field. So trust me, there are initiatives, and we will open new initiatives, new projects, in order to get support from the world. Because again, there is calculation that maybe up to 40 billion euros is needed for demining of Ukraine as of today, and the war is still ongoing. There is a study of Croatians, experts for demining, that 1 year of fight actually means 6 to 7 years of demining afterwards. So if we are talking about almost 3 years of war, and I'm taking apart Crimea situation now, but only except Crimea, it's almost 3 years of war. So it's how much? 20 years of demining. And if we take into account Crimea, then we're talking about maybe 50 years.
Well, maybe artificial intelligence will help us speed up the process.
Absolutely, absolutely. UAVs, unmanned aerial systems, but also ground systems, remote operated, and also underwater demining. Also UDS, they have a certificate now for underwater demining as well. So because if we're talking about demining, we usually think of fields, but yes, waters, seas, lakes, they are polluted as well with mines and other explosives. So yes, with UAVs, AI technology, it all can help. And you don't put then people to risk that much if you use unmanned systems or AI.
All right, just to wrap this up, I have one final question to you. Imagine yourself in your position in 2022, like you are today. Would you make the same decision to transfer the planes and other capabilities to Ukraine, given the latest attack on you by the current government? Like, what would you do? Would you do the same?
I receive this question from media, from journalists in Slovakia, and also from foreign countries very often. And every time I say yes. And I would even speed up the processes. Because also with MiG-29s, there was potential to speed it up a bit and to send it maybe half a year earlier. We helped. With the S-300 system, air defense systems. Honestly, when I was leaving as a defense minister, I received a list of successful operations of S-300 system that we provided to Ukraine. How many planes it got hit, and how many rockets it stopped. And I was so happy about it, because I realized how many innocent lives it saved. And if it would save only one life, only one, it would be worth it. But now I believe that it helped a lot. It helped to save families, houses. We all should do our best in order to help victim of aggression. I'm so proud of the former Prime Minister Edvard Heger, of Ivan Korčok and Rastislav Káčer, my former colleagues, foreign ministers, who helped me a lot. I'm so proud of my colleagues at the Defense Ministry, our Chief of Defense, who is still in position, General Zmeko, because they were those who supported me a lot to do our best in order to help Ukraine. Because this is about responsibility and about values. And I believe that freedom in Ukraine will bring a free government that will have a very good, friendly relationship with Slovakia, and vice versa. The new government in Slovakia will have very good relationship with Ukraine, because you never know when Slovakia will ask Ukraine for help. And this is about good friendships and neighbors. We are neighbors, and we believe that every time when you need help, you ask neighbors first. So if you ask me again, yes, I'm so proud of what we did, and we would have done that again. Absolutely yes.
Well, political life in Slovakia is thriving, and we do hope that we'll see you in some capacity in the new government one day. Thank you very much. It was Ukrinform. Stay with us for more interviews.